Jake Ludington here at HP Discover, and I'm here with Chris Coggrave, and we're going to talk about converged infrastructure.
That's right.
So let's kick this off with why converged infrastructure?
Well, I think converged infrastructure provides a level of agility and integration to help you to accelerate to cloud and also a hybrid delivery model for IT. Most organizations today have very rigid stovepiped IT where network, server and storage are run totally separately. This is very inflexible. The new models of hybrid IT delivery and cloud need a much more flexible approach. There's a need to translate this technology-centric IT to a workload-centric, which is a lot more customer-focused. Now, in order to do that, converged infrastructure provides the necessary building blocks, pre-configured, pre-integrated, pre-tested components, which help you easily make that transition between the rigid siloed approach and a much more flexible workload-based approach to IT.
So what are the benefits of converged infrastructure versus the more traditional model?
A lot of benefits. For a start, manageability. You're reducing the number of management elements, not managing separately network server storage, but taking an overall coordinated view there. Cost of operations will reduce significantly. You know, if you look at the saying, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, if you optimize the system, you'll gain more than optimizing the individual components in isolation. Improvements in reliability, improvements in terms of efficiency of resources, anything from 2 to 3 times increase there.
What considerations should people be making when they're thinking about moving to converged infrastructure?
Well, I think the first mistake people tend to make is that they're assuming it's purely focused on technology, and it isn't. If you look at the transition that's going on in data centers, there's a move from a focus on managing fixed assets to a much more service-based approach, a lot more connected, integrated approach. As you make that move, you've got to take into account other considerations like the people element, you know, the impact on roles and jobs moving from a traditional stovepiped approach to a service-oriented approach. The roles, responsibilities and skills change. From a process perspective, the speed provided by virtualization means that your processes need to be very standardized, very repeatable, so that you can automate them and gain the benefit of that virtualization. And finally, from a governance perspective, the way IT is aligned with the business is different. You've got to look at how decisions are made, a lot more stronger involvement with the business in terms of building consensus and looking at governance, risk and compliance.
When somebody's thinking about making this move to converged infrastructure, is this an all or nothing proposition, or can you kind of make the move in small pieces and move the organization along a little bit at a time?
Actually, that's a very good question. All organizations are at different stages of their journey to this vision of hybrid IT delivery. They're all different in terms of how they're organized, the skills they have, the investment in legacy systems, the overall culture of the organization, which all have a bearing on the level of convergence which is right for those organizations. So I'll give you an example. Right at the base layer, an organization may decide to purchase the best-in-class building blocks, the network, the server, the storage elements, and actually integrate them themselves. Right at the other end of the stack, there are the complete integrated packages which cover not only the basic infrastructure elements, but through the hypervisor layer, through the middleware, database and application, so you get everything in one. And obviously you can save on the cost there, but obviously you've got to adopt those particular stack elements. In between, there are other options where you look at limited integration, or you go right up to services-based integration. So if I give an example within HP, at the base level, we have our components like 3PAR, like blades, or any one of our components in network server storage offerings. We can then go up through virtual system, which includes a choice of hypervisor layer, then to cloud system, which is basically taking it a step further, adding cloud elements, the level of automation, service catalog, etc., and then ultimately to application system, where we have a complete stack supporting a particular application, whether it be Microsoft, SAP or whatever.
So let's say I'm the CIO that has made the decision to make the move to converged infrastructure, and what kind of steps does my organization need to be thinking about as I make this move?
I think the first step is to know where you're starting from. It's very important to actually start with a firm foundation there. There's a need to do an assessment of your current state, not just focusing on technology, but also your state of readiness in terms of processes, people, organisation and governance. Now we can help there. We've got a tool which is called Converged Infrastructure Capability Model, a series of relatively simple questions that we can spend a few hours with you and actually plot out where you are now, where you want to go, and what the difference between the two is. So that's a good start to give you a feel of, getting a good view of where you are right now. The next step really is to start building consensus. One thing about this is that you're moving outside of these technology stovepipes, you're also integrating them. So you need to get the right people together. This works across network, server and storage, not in the isolated areas. There are other people affected like the finance side, the business users. So really you need to get everybody on the same page in terms of a shared vision and what converged infrastructure is. We run what's known as a Transformation Experience Workshop, which is a one-day session. We bring key decision makers into a room with life-size posters with lots of graphics on, and we take them on a journey of all the considerations. We give them an holistic view to make sure that they're aware of everything. We also build consensus amongst the different decision makers and give them an initial direction in terms of where they want to go. So by the end of that, they understand what converged infrastructure is, what it means for their business, and more importantly, they're all singing from the same hymn sheet there. What we then do is really there's a need to start building stronger relationships with the business. The business has got to be involved throughout. You've got to build a strong business case there. We have a strategy and business case service which goes into a lot more detail. We've already defined the future state vision with the transformation workshop. We do a much more detailed assessment of where the organisation is, and then we actually build a roadmap with a series of projects in each of the domains, not just the technology, but the people, the process and the governance domains in terms of how to get from A to B. We build a business case around that and a much more detailed definition of how to make that journey between the present state and the future state. And that provides a very solid foundation with everybody on board with a shared vision there to go back to the business and actually quantify the benefits that can be achieved. Now, it's not a big bang approach. As I said, it's a journey of transformation. So you've got to look at individual stages to get you from A to B, and at each step you need to define what business benefits are going to be provided and make sure that the business is on side and with you.
All right, well that sounds like a clear path to success if you want to go to the converged infrastructure. So thanks for your time, Chris.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.